I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello and welcome to the preview for the first leg of the Europa Conference League semi-final. I am tonight's host, Tom, which some of you don't like apparently when I'm here instead of James. But unfortunately, I've got that position tonight, and I'm joined by a hamster himself who did have the WestHamOnline picture about 30 seconds ago. But how are you doing, mate?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, not too bad. Apologies if you can hear my son screaming in the background. He's having a bit of a terrible afternoon. But alas, we are here for the preview today. Before we start, as it says at the bottom, don't forget, if you're new around here, drop a like on the video, subscribe, become a member, all that good stuff. And I'll remind you at the end of the video if you haven't already. But Alfie, first things first. AZ Alkmaar, how much do you know about them? How much do you know about their team? I've come armed with facts and figures tonight, which I didn't do a couple of weeks ago, but I have done my research on these lot, and I'll spew them in a second. Let's see how much Alfie knows first.
Well, the last preview me and you did, I think it was Larnaca. I was the one that came with the facts, and I don't think you did. This time around, I know nothing. I know their goalkeeper is Matt Ryan. And I know they've kept 4 clean sheets in a row at home, but they're not as good away. I know that their left back's not playing, and he's young. I think he's like a teenage left back.
Don't steal all the things that I've got lined up.
This is just off the top of my head. This is just
all right. I'll tell you what then. For those of you who are in the comment section tonight, hello. Put in your thoughts all evening. Obviously, we'll get most of them up on screen. But in case you didn't know, notable players. Former Brighton and Arsenal goalkeeper, obviously, as Alfie said, Matt Ryan, who's currently on loan from Copenhagen. Jordi Clasie, who played in centre mid. He played for Southampton as well. Bruno Martins Indy plays for them. Of course, used to play for Stoke City when they got relegated. So there's a few different players. And actually, most notably, Ricardo Bazur, who, if you remember rightly, a few years ago was before Declan Rice was supposed to be the big thing. And was supposed to go to Barcelona. That never happened. So, yeah, they've got quite a few good young players. Key players to stand out, though, that you need to watch out for. Firstly, Jesper Karlsson, which we'll get to in a little bit, notable players that are not playing. Pavlidis, their striker, and Tiani Reinders, all of their key players. Never watched them play, but those are the names that kept popping up when I was having a look.
A few of their best players aren't playing.
But, okay, hang on. There's a little tab that says notable absences, okay? But we're not there yet. But those are the standouts, if you will, from there. Is there anybody that you know of that isn't playing or that is playing tomorrow night that you're worried about, that you've seen a little bit of, that is, that you're scared of playing against, basically?
No. Let's be honest. On paper, we've got the better team. I know they drew with Ajax on the weekend, 0-0. But, yeah, on paper, I'd say we've got the better team. Obviously, Jordi Clasie, I actually didn't really mind him in the Premier League. I thought he was all right when he was at Southampton, but he didn't quite fit in. But apart from that, I don't really know a lot about them, I've got to be honest. I know they've got someone who's got a similar name to Odegaard, and that's about it.
They do. Odegaard, he's called.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, as WestHamOnline said, in the Eredivisie this year, they are currently sitting 4th. They are unbeaten in 4 games. Obviously, as, again, Alfie took the stats right away from me, they haven't conceded in their last 4. Most notably drawing with Ajax at the weekend, 0-0. They seem like they score quite a few when their best players seem to play, but they also concede quite a few as well, which is, I guess, a little bit of a better omen for us. Pavlidis being their top scorer in the Eredivisie this season with 12. Then, again, as Alfie pointed out, Odegaard with 9, and then Karlsson with 6. And their assist makers, Sugawara with 8, Mainyans, not to be confused with the keeper, with 8, Reindeers. Again, I don't know. I'm really sorry, by the way, if you support AZ Alkmaar, and I'm absolutely butchering these, with 6, and Karlsson with 4. But obviously, it's a little bit different when we see them in the UEFA Conference League and actually have had the makings of a very good side. They don't draw games. They've won 8 and they've lost 2. But en route to the semi-finals have knocked out probably perennial, I would say, the favourites at the time, which was Lazio, and then also Anderlecht in the last round as well. top scorers in the competition for them, Pavlidis with 5 and 1 assist, Jesper Karlsson, 2 goals, 4 assists, Kirkes, who's the left back that was mentioned by Alfie again, 2 goals and 3 assists. But they've actually got quite a good mix between youth and also sort of age as well, would you say? It seems to be quite, like you said, there's a couple of the younger players. You've got Carlson, I think, obviously, in the Kirkes, the left back, who are the are the younger two. But they're also propped up by people like Matt Ryan, like Martin Zindi, like Classy and stuff. And we know, obviously, even though we don't know much about them, Dutch teams will have a very similar way of playing football, sort of that Johan Cruyff model, if you will. They will be a tough team to break down, I think. And obviously,
we're going to beat these donuts.
Are you that confident?
Yeah, I think it would be. I'd be quite shocked if we don't win tomorrow, to be honest. I think we need a comfortable lead going into the second leg. And actually, I normally say that I'd rather have the home leg in the second leg, if that makes sense, because then obviously it's the final leg. You know what the score is going to be going into your home game, and you can play according to that. But in this competition where we're stronger than the other opposition, I'd rather us try and steamroll them in the home leg and then deal with the away leg after that.
I think that's the key, I think, for me as well, is that first leg. Having it at home is not necessarily the greatest advantage in the world. Obviously, we saw what happened last year when we had a first leg at home against Eintracht Frankfurt, and they blew the tie open, unfortunately, by taking back a lead. And that is obviously the massive benefit and draw to having a game at home in the second leg. So almost we do need the complete opposite of what we did last year. We do need to take maybe a 2 or a 3-goal lead if we can into the away fixture, because anything can happen, as we saw sort of last year against Sevilla. But do you not think that there's even a sniff for them, Alfie? Are you not even?
No. I do think there's a sniff for them, but I think they could have a philosophy of football which could disrupt our play. I've heard they press well, which at times we've struggled to deal with this season. And if they can manage to pin us in, then obviously they can have some success, because if you're the dominant team with the ball, which wouldn't surprise me if they are, then obviously they can cut us open.
Yeah.
However, despite how poor we are, we're still a great counter-attacking side, in my opinion. And I think against this calibre of opposition on a European night with the likes of Antonio, I'd expect to win.
Listen, I'll throw a couple more facts at you quickly as well, just for these guys in the Conference League so far, and the fact they have obviously beaten Lazio as well. Big chances created 23, which is only, I think it's actually one of the best in the competition. I think we were about 4th or 5th with 19 big chances created. They've missed 18, so they're not exactly taking their big chances. They do have 55.2% possession over the course of their campaign this year, which is, funnily enough, exactly the same number as us as well. So are you expecting them to set up almost like you said, we have been in recent weeks, which is we are the counter-attacking team at home? Are you absolutely fine with them maybe not dominating possession, but having the lion's share of the ball?
I'd rather they did have the lion's share of the ball, to be honest, because I think we're better when we don't have the ball, and that's fine. People talk about possession with us all the time, but I couldn't care less. As long as our philosophy is working and we are the team that looks like most likely to score, then yeah, and I think we will be. I think Antonio and Bowen are so key in this game. I don't think they would have played against that sort of calibre of player in how strong they are, their movement in the final third. I think Bowen and Antonio will be a cut above these lot.
Fair enough. All right, well, before we move on to West Ham as well, like I said, in recent weeks, we've spent quite a while talking about teams we don't know much about. But we were pretty accurate, I'd say, in the last couple of rounds with some of the teams that we sort of spoke about. But before we do move on to West Ham, notable absences for them. Odegaard, who again was mentioned at the start, he is included, one of their sort of key players, but he is a doubt for tomorrow. He's got some form of injury. Kirkes, the left back, again, who was highlighted, probably one of their main threats down the left-hand side, is out suspended from the game tomorrow, but he will be back for the second leg. And Jesper Karlsson, who hasn't actually played for them in, I think, a few weeks now, also a massive threat for them down that left-hand side, is out as well. One quick question I will mention, though, before we get into talking about West Ham. Their striker, Pavlidis, even though he's not maybe the most sort of knocking on the doors of like Haaland and the rest of the best strikers in the world. Are you not worried about the physical presence that he brings tomorrow night, especially, if he's dealing against Aged and Ogbonna, if we think that Zuma's out? Are you worried about that sort of presence that he'll command in the box? Or again, is it just you're really not worried at all at all by them?
Well, I've never watched him, so I don't know whether to be worried or not, but I'd suspect if he's playing for AZ Alkmaar in the Eredivisie, he's not going to be the best of players. No disrespect to him. Obviously, there are teams that have hidden gems, and there are players that their career goes in the wrong way and they end up at teams like this, and then their career is reborn in sides like this. Obviously, if he's going to be one of their key threats, especially with how weak our centre-backs are aerially, especially now Aged, as well as the fact that I suspect Hugo Kerr will be the right back and he's weak in the air as well. And obviously he'll be the one at back commanding the back post crosses. But as I say, home leg, London Stadium, I think the atmosphere will be really, really good. I do think that we're going to get a comfortable win unless nerves get the better of us. And obviously last year in the semi-final, I don't think we lost because of nerves last year. I think we lost because of poor tactics and poor decisions from players like Creswell. And obviously we didn't wake up in the first minute of the home leg, which cost us eventually. But now all the players will have it in their mind. We don't want a repeat of that. So it's a mental game, but we're the better side.
Right. Again, last thing I will say, Sadadi, usually I agree with most of the stuff that you say. I do like your opinions, but yes, they lost at Anderlecht, but they beat Lazio in their back door in the final in the previous round. So again, it knocked out 2-1 to Alkmaar against Lazio away from home. So I don't necessarily think it's a foregone conclusion that we'll absolutely smash them tomorrow. But before we get on to that, as I bring up my next banner, as I'm still trying to work out how to do this thing, referee, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because James said in the group chat earlier that if you're a person that likes a card bet, this might be the man for you tomorrow night. He shows cards, lots of fouls. He's not reffed in the Conference League yet this year. He's a Turkish ref. He hands out 4 cards a game on 25 fouls, a red in 1 in every 3.5, which probably means, seeing as he's not handed one out in his last 4 games, that there is a red card tomorrow. But hopefully that won't be to Aaron Cresswell, because I know that James will be absolutely fuming if he starts and gets sent off again. But Alfie, Man United, was that the best time to get a result like that before heading into this kind of a fixture? Would that have given the guys the confidence they need, you think, before playing this game?
Yeah. Home win, and we're at home again now. I thought the atmosphere was the best it's been at all season in the Man United game. I'd even argue it was the best we've had since, I'd actually say since Sevilla at home last year. That was the best atmosphere I've heard. And I think it will continue into this game. I think despite the fact we lost 3 games in a row before the United game, our overall form in, say, last 10 has been a lot more positive. And I do think the Palace game was a fluke. I think the players were knackered. We lost a lot of physical duels. Them sort of games can happen. But overall, especially at home, I've been really encouraged lately. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm encouraged again tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that was the thing, it's sort of, I guess last year we almost made it a fortress at home, and we were very difficult to break down and beat. And unfortunately, it's not gone that way this year. But we've shown some life and some signs in the last few weeks. I think it will pick up. I do think that Man United were very porous with their chances. They probably could have scored on a couple of them, the chances that they had. But at the end of the day, I think, as you just said, the perfect time to get a result like that. And hopefully, the players will be buoyed by that. And I think that there will be a lot of players that want to make up, obviously, still for last season what happened. Look no further than Aaron Cresswell himself after the mistake that he made in the semi-final. The main man himself. So, I do think that it came at the perfect time for us. But then again, also, there was a lot of energy expended at the weekend. But I hope, as you said, that everybody will be up for for playing in a European semi-final again, back-to-back semi-finals at that. Notable absences for West Ham is pretty self-explanatory, as it has been the last few weeks. Kurt Zouma looks like he's still out, although he was back in training today. And obviously, Gianluca Scamacca will be out for the remainder of the season with his knee surgery or whatever surgery he had. I can't remember now. It's been far too long. But starting 11, drop it down in the comments. What you guys, who you would like to see start tomorrow. I'm going to ask Alfie first. Who is your lineup? Is it different to that of the Man United game, or is it pretty much let's just stick with the winning formula?
It's the exact same team from top to bottom.
Fabianski as well?
Yep. He's better than Areola.
Do explain. Oh, wow, Jesus. Okay.
He's better than Areola. I don't want to lose another semi-final, and I don't want to watch Areola try and catch crosses. If Areola starts, then fair enough, whatever. But I would start Super Fabianski.
Mad. Okay. Fair enough. Even because this is his competition as well. And he's been absolutely fine.
I couldn't care less about sentiment at this stage. If he wants to have a paddy about it, he can go at the end of the season because he isn't that good anyway.
Hey, fair enough. Listen, it's your starting 11. I'm not going to question it. But go on then, right backs. I'm pretty sure you've alluded to most of it anyway. And I've also forgot the starting 11 from the United game. So by all means, take us through the rest of your team.
Fabianski, Kera, who was great on the weekend. Again, Ogbonna, Creswell, absolutely Creswell. I don't want to be seeing Emerson. Souček, who's been sensational lately. Rice, Paqueta, who's been excellent lately. Bowen, Mikel, big game Mikel, and Said Benrahma.
One person I will make a special mention for, which I don't actually usually do, and I know Clive will be absolutely buzzing that I'm about to do this, but how good was this man against Man United at the weekend? And can we maybe start to see a little bit of revival? Because I think, when I think about the last couple of years, he was very influential to us. And I do think he was a reason and part of our success, but he's obviously lost his way a bit this season. But that Man United game actually showed me how much he does, A, care about the team, but B, how influential in midfield that he can be, interceptions, recoveries of the ball and stuff. Do you think going forward, if Thomas Souček actually manages to step up, have a good game against maybe another half-decent midfield against Alkmaar, that we may actually see us almost winning out the remainder of the season, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think people convince themselves that Souček was literally the worst player they've ever seen, which he's not.
I probably did that as well.
Yeah, I did that as well. People convince themselves Lynn Downs is better than him as well, which he's not. He just isn't. Souček is very, very limited, and if you play him in the wrong way, then of course he's horrendous to watch, and he's not effective. But if you play him in the correct manner, then he's very effective because, for example, in the Man United game, he kept it simple. He completed all his passes on the floor, by the way, before anyone comes about his passes in the Man United game. Obviously, he was good in the area. He was winning his aerial duels, and his recoveries off the ball were fantastic. He defended our box well. He's good in both boxes. When you use him correctly, he's effective. I get that he's not technically good, but he's not this horrendous, absolutely crap player that everyone convinced themselves that he is. He was very good in his first season, and it wasn't just the goals.
Yeah. And I think that's why I sort of wanted to highlight him for tomorrow, because I think myself, I've given him a lot of flack, as most people have, I think, this season. But actually kind of proved yesterday why. Yesterday?
Jesus, that's a lot of games in 2 days.
Listen, I had a stressful time looking after a child, Alfie. He kind of proved why that. I guess David Moyes has been continually trying to start him. Do I think that maybe he should have been dropped a little while ago? Yes, but I think he proved at the weekend against United that actually this is kind of when he's playing well. That's the kind of version of Thomas Souček you get. But unfortunately for him, it's been far and few between. But I think that he'll give us that again. I think we'll need him tomorrow night. And he's also, I'm pretty sure, coming up and as many times bled for West Ham as he has done scored goals. Because the man still bleeds claret and blue, or just bleeds in general.
I'll respond to Richard's comment.
Is it this one?
No. When used correctly. That one. Thomas Souček was excellent in his first season, and one of the midfielders you're alluding to there is Paqueta, and Paqueta didn't play for the club at that time. Secondly, Lucas Paqueta is not world class. I can't keep hearing this thing. He's a great player and he's been brilliant lately, but there's not even enough evidence to suggest he's on a level above, say, a Barry Eze from Crystal Palace. And that's not me disrespecting Paqueta. He's just not world class. I don't get why people suddenly think this. He's a great player. He's improving, but let's not start with this world class thing, because on the topic of Souček, people were convincing themselves that he was world class 2 years ago, and I was saying he's far from world class, and people were like, no, we've got one world class player, Declan Rice, and we won't have another world class player for probably about another 10 years.
Fair enough, Alf. Fair enough. My start 11, I think I'm pretty much similar to what everybody would say, as Adam is saying here. 4-2-3, Areola, Cresswell, Bonnet, Aged, Kehrer, Paqueta, Rice, Souček, Benny, Bowen and Antonio. For me, the only changes from that, I would go exactly the same, and I would stick Emerson in, which I know Alfie will absolutely despise, but I'm trusting my gut and I'm listening to James, and that is that he never wanted to see Aaron Cresswell play in the European semi-final again for West Ham. Just because, I don't know, the guy could get flashbacks in the middle of the first half and start lashing out at people, and we don't want that. But also, I'm completely different to Alfie in the respect of I prefer Emerson down the left. I know at the start of the season I was very firmly on the Cresswell sort of, and he seems to have come into a bit of form in the last few weeks, and I do think he was great against Man United. But I still think I'd like to see Emerson in this competition. It's the same for Areola. I thought Fabianski was brilliant at the weekend, but this is the competition that we've seen him playing the most. So I think I'd sort of want to stick with a similar sort of team that played in the last round. Give Cresswell a break. He's an old man, Alf. All right, he's an old man.
No, Emerson doesn't even try his best. No way.
No, European semi-final. He will be up for it. Don't worry. Predictions obviously down below. Drop them in. Let us know who do you think is going to win tomorrow. Obviously, I know you're all probably going to predict a West Ham win, but by how many goals? That is the main thing. Alfie, your score prediction for tomorrow night. What are you saying?
2-0, Lucas Paqueta and Mikel Antonio.
Listen, I know you're confident, and I know there's a lot of people in here tonight that are confident. But
get in the mood. Get in the mood.
No, I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood. I was there last year. All right, I was there last year. I had my heart broken by just inside the first minute. You already kind of knew where that was going. Myself, Rebecca were there. I'm not there tomorrow, unfortunately, but I'm not. European semi-finals, very rarely do you see, one team maybe absolutely dominate or smash another team. These guys are here for a reason as well. Obviously, their main seems like two biggest threats and creating chances and stuff. Carlson and the left back and stuff. They're not playing. But I do think that it will be a lot tighter than what people are maybe thinking that it will be. And I don't necessarily want to go into this game thinking that we're going to sort of have the benefit of the doubt because we're at home and look how many goals we scored in this competition and stuff. I've got a feeling that it will be 2-1 to us. I do think it will be a lot tighter than what people think it will. And as I said, they've got to this stage of the competition for a reason. Last night, again, with Real Madrid and City 1-1. I'm sure it will be very similar tonight between AC and Inter. But I'm again, James here saying now that West Ham 3-0 Alkmaar. Listen, I'd love a 3-0 as much as I'm pretty sure everybody else here would. But I have just got a sneaking suspicion that we may end up just nicking it 2-1. Are you firmly disagreeing to this now, Alfie?
No, I can see it happening. I could see us getting a draw or something like that. I wouldn't rule it out. But my prediction is a healthy West Ham win. And this man in my profile picture, he'll be getting the plaudits from me. On the trophy, people.
If we do win tomorrow, and we do win comfortably, like you said, are we winning the whole thing?
Probably not.
You know, but why the hell have you got the picture then if you're not confident?
Ow. I've got cramp in my foot, sorry. Because the only I am confident in the team. I think we will be the better side going into the final than whoever we're up against. But I just can't envision West Ham winning a final. You know, I just can't get that into my head. So ask me again if we beat these Farmers.
I can't believe you call them Farmers. We completely disagree here. But listen, I love the attitude, right? I love the confidence. Quickly before we go as well, other semi-final, who takes that one? Fiorentina or Basel? Who's your money on?
Give me a second. I'm going to check where Fiorentina are in Serie A now. 1 second.
It's fine. Don't worry. We'll wait on you, mate. Don't panic. Whilst we're here, though, quickly, before we go, obviously, if you haven't already, do drop a like on the video, subscribe, become a member, all that good stuff. Alfie, Fiorentina, Basel, what's your prediction?
Fiorentina will win, and yeah.
There you go. Fiorentina will win, and yeah. Anyway, if you have enjoyed the preview...
1 minute. I've got to do something.
Alfie, I've got an Ocado shop coming here. You better hurry up. Right, there we go. The hamster's in. You could have just done that whilst I was doing the outro. But anyway, thank you for joining myself and Alfie tonight. James will be back, obviously, tomorrow night with player ratings, afterthought, and all that good stuff. If you have enjoyed, as I said, like, links, share, everything, subscribe. It's all below. And yeah, hopefully we will be coming away tomorrow, as Alfie said, with a 2-3-0 win potentially. I'm saying it's going to be closer, but we will see. Alfie, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
There it is. I've never found a love like this. There it is.
Goodbye.
I've never found